Hi everyone, it's Donna here, and I'm joined by Deb Sims, who is now day 14 of her CAR T cell therapy. And Deb, how you been going? Heading home today? You've been
Oh,
a few days,
well,
but heading home.
yes. So I was discharged on day 4, which was a Friday, and I think I'd spoken to you on day
Yeah.
3, and felt really good all weekend. Did a 7-kilometre walk around the town, and just was feeling great and thinking, well, there's no side effects at all. And on Monday, I saw Tam, my doctor, and said, if there's no side effects, is it working? And he's like, don't wish side effects on yourself. And we see activity with this particular CAR T, even in people who have very little side effects. On Tuesday, I was still feeling very bright, but was starting to get pains in my legs. And I was quite excited because I thought, oh, well, that's obviously the T cells expanding. But the pain got worse. And on Wednesday, I was in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And really just stayed in bed and on the sofa all day. And then on Thursday, and I'd been having sort of chills, and I was a bit, feeling hot and then feeling cold. And, I can often be like that anyway. I'm a 47-year-old woman. But
Temperature
this
is okay
was,
at the time?
yeah. So I didn't have a temp, I was normal 36.5, which is very average for me. But my skin was cold to touch.
Okay.
So I was getting this sort of like my body wasn't able to regulate my temperature properly. So, my hands were cold, my back, even like my body just was cold, but my temperature was normal. And then on Thursday, I woke up and, I had a bad night. The pain had spread through all my bones, and particularly sort of at the sites of bone marrow biopsies, which I've had quite a lot of. And then I started developing a temperature, and we kept an eye on it. But Thursday night, it went up to 39. And so went straight rang the number on the Peter Mac card that they'd given me, went to ED at the Royal Melbourne. And it was really, I was fast tracked through ED. They were waiting for me. The hematologist registrar from the Peter Mac rang me as we were driving, just to sort of assess me. And then I was admitted into the high dependency unit. Yeah, and it was pretty scary. And I was on half-hourly obs at one stage. My blood pressure, I've always got low blood pressure, but it was going through the floor. And my pulse was really rapid. It was very strange. And the fever, I was very, very miserable on Thursday night. I was very much like, want to get off the bus. Thank you very much.
What day was that?
So that was Thursday.
Just
so Thursday night. Yeah, Thursday night I stayed over, and obviously no one can come into the Peter Mac without a COVID test, so we had to wait for the results for me to be transferred. And it was wheelchairs. It was so funny. I got wheeled out of the high dependency unit, and the doctors came over to see me. From Marianne Anderson and Dr. Thomas Liu came over to see me from the Peter Mac, which was really reassuring, because I was feeling, I'm a trial patient, and I was feeling very vulnerable. Even though, CRS had been explained to me, this cytokine release syndrome, it's, I think as many as 50% of patients experience some form of it. I was very low risk for it, so it was really quite surprising that it happened. But no one was unhappy that it happened, because it actually showed the T cells were working. But I was told it was grade 1. Now, grade 1, I would not want to know what grade 2, 3, and certainly 4 are. They don't treat grade 1, so they try to let you ride it out. But what they did, they were worried that my neutrophils were like 0.9, and they were really worried that I had an infection. So they treat, I suppose it's standard with a CAR T patient, but I was given, intravenous penicillin for 3 days. And I've actually just spent longer in hospital on this admission than I did for the CAR T admission. So they're happy for me to go, but only because I'm 20 minutes away and sensible.
Yeah.
That's what they think anyway, because I just actually I've got to be careful, because I found out that my Dr. Michael Dickinson has actually watched our last one of these, so and I can't actually remember what I said, and I'm scared to watch because
You're great.
But yeah, it was scary, really scary, and knew I wasn't in Kansas anymore.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you have any neurological sort of?
No. So apparently that could still happen.
Oh, okay.
And I also found out, because I thought you just had one-off cytokine release syndrome, but no, it can come in waves.
Oh.
So, and particularly with this product, it can happen later. So it was almost bang on day 11, but they'll be keeping a close eye on me, and I'll be doing my own temperature. And I tell you what I did do, because I'm such a nerd. I bought a blood pressure cuff. I think it was $180 from Chemist Warehouse, not being sponsored here, but what I liked was it's Bluetooth, and it syncs straight away with my mobile phone and app. Ooh. And records it. And when I looked at the data, when I actually was well enough to at the weekend, it shows that my blood pressure was steadily falling from Monday. God. And my pulse rate was rising, which actually ties in.
Sending that to the doctors in future.
It was actually an American CAR-T patient that put me onto it, because they go home with all this stuff like oxygen sats, and it's not. I suppose when you're generally, for them, they're paying $600,000 for this.
Yeah.
To be able to have a bit of.
Yeah.
And my daughter will like playing doctors and nurses with me. I can't wait to see her this afternoon. I'm really not feeling well enough to see the kids, but I'm going to go and spend a couple of hours this afternoon heavily masked up, because they only saw me once last week.
Yeah, that's really important, I think, for them to see you as well, and bit different to the screen sort of thing. And you're feeling today pretty okay to go home, and tiredness?
I'd rather be at home, because it's just monitoring me now. I was lucky that the CRS wasn't so bad that they needed to give me Tosi. I cannot say the full word, but apparently everyone in the biz knows Tosi. So basically, if I'd got above grade 2, they would have tried to dampen down the inflammation that was causing the fever. But paracetamol's like the wonder drug. I couldn't believe how every time I took it, the pain went and the fever came down.
Yeah, it's a good drug still. Yeah.
And penicillin, well, I can't wait to get my cannula out. I'm a bit over that now. I think maybe I should have got, I wasn't offered it, but maybe I should have got a port. I'm thinking, but my arms are really bad now from all the stabbing and
so much treatment and all the blood tests you would have had. You're in a trial, so you're probably having more blood tests than.
Well, for instance, in 5 minutes, the trials nurse will come in, because she has to take my bloods exactly 2 hours after I took ibrutinib.
Okay.
So, we took the ibrutinib, put it in, and then exactly 2 hours later, and there's only 5-minute window either side. And there's a lot of that goes on, which I've experienced before, because I've been in a trial before. And I quite like all the extra, the extra attention.
That's a good thing about being on a clinical trial. You get that additional stuff, and it's very important for future patients.
Yeah. What I sort of was feeling on Friday was a little bit scared, because we just didn't know why it was happening. And that's the other thing, this is all adding into learnings, and at some point a paper will be published, and they may refer to a 47-year-old patient who got, they never identify patients in studies, but there'll be so few of us on this trial, I might be able to see what it was. And whether, I won't know, the bloods that they're doing today hopefully will be showing cytokines, but I won't ever get to see that data. No. So it's interesting. My bloods are holding up, apart from very neutropenic now. I'm down to 0.8. So when I joked with Con the other day about, so no blue cheese tonight. It's like, no.
And definitely on lockdown anyway, regardless if you had CAR-T recently.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
have to say, in terms of, I was worried about having CAR T, in terms of there not having been so many patients who've had it in Australia. So, how much knowledge is there? I can't imagine it being anywhere better. I said this to Michael yesterday. I feel just the level of care, the nursing, the culture here at the Peter Mac, it's incredible. I wish they had an emergency department for CAR T patients. That was a bit harrowing to go through the Royal Melbourne.
Yeah.
But I'm sure as they expand the program, that they'll have that, and also in the post-COVID era, I
Yeah.
can understand why you wouldn't.
Yeah, it's more to do with
Yeah,
COVID. I think they want to make sure it's clean
yeah.
hospitals. So yeah, no, it's totally understanding. I'm glad you got through
Thank
the
you.
last few days and you've seen the other side, hopefully, and get home at least anyway, a little bit more
Yeah,
comfortable for you. So
yeah,
thank you for sharing your story, Deb.
yeah. Thank you. No, it's it was as you know, a tough decision to make to do this, and I think it's important to do a warts and all. If in 2 weeks' time, when I have my bone marrow and then I get the results, and I'll share them with you as well. But if I find out I've got no detectable disease, then everything's worth it. And there's a chance, there's some patients who are time out of CAR T, and at the very least, I would hope that it would give me a long remission,
Yeah.
and make me less vulnerable to resistance developing with arboretum. In fact, the fact that I got CRS, I think, is a good sign, because I only just made it onto the trial because I had so little disease detectable, and CAR T actually needs active disease to expand, which I hadn't quite appreciated. I think I had more disease than we could find.
Well,
and the fact I'm in pain today under my armpit,
yeah.
I think that's that the lymph nodes under there are always the first ones to take off on this side. And this morning I've woken up and it's really sore under there.
It just
So
shows the stuff we can't see, isn't it? Yeah.
no, so and the fact that it started in my big bones and my legs, well, maybe there's a whole factory of CLL down there that we didn't know, and that we weren't finding because we're doing bone marrow biopsies in my back.
Yeah, we don't always look down that way.
Yeah. No. So who knows? But I'm happier that it's working than having no symptoms.
Yeah.
But it was, they're full on. This is not for the faint-hearted, and at least people would be hopefully seeing this and prepared for it. I knew that it could happen, and I'm lucky because really it was only 36 hours.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to do anything to reduce the activity. But no more. Thank you. That could be my little drama.
Yeah, that's it. That's definitely enough by the sounds of it. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. We look forward to hearing how everything's going and very shortly. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Donna.